All right, let's talk about it. If you're watching this, you've probably been refreshing your tax refund status over and over, and you got hit with that message. You know the one that makes your stomach do a backflip. We're going to break down what it really means, why it's happening, and what you can actually do about it.
So there you are. You open the Where's My Refund app. Maybe your heart's beating a little faster, and then bam, you see this sentence. No fun progress bars, no deposit date, just these 6 words hanging there. And your stomach just drops.
And right away, your brain just goes into overdrive, right? What did I do wrong? Did I mess up a number somewhere? Oh my gosh, is this an audit? Is my refund just gone? That spiral is totally normal, but take a deep breath. We're about to replace all that panic with some actual facts. Okay, let's get this out of the way first because it's the most important thing you're going to hear. This message feels like a final judgment, like you failed a test. It's not. Think of it more like you're in a holding pattern at the airport. It's just a pause, not a rejection. Now, you might be wondering, why is this so stressful? Well, here's the wild part. The fear doesn't come from the message meaning something bad. The fear comes from the fact that it means, well, nothing specific. It's a total information vacuum, and our brains are just wired to fill in those blanks with the absolute worst case scenario. Think of it like this. You're not in the principal's office. You're just in a digital waiting room. The IRS system hasn't kicked you out or put a big red flag on your file. It just hasn't called your number yet. You're simply waiting for the next step in the process. So let's ditch that vague sense of dread and get into the real reasons this happens. We're going to pull back the curtain and look at the 5 most common things, none of which are a disaster, that are likely going on behind the scenes. So here they are, the 5 usual suspects. It could be a simple ID check, a built-in delay for certain tax credits, a tiny typo, a quick once-over by a real person, or even a new security feature for your bank account. Let's take a look at each one. First up, identity verification. I know, this one sounds kind of intimidating, but it's actually a good thing. Tax refund fraud is a huge problem, so sometimes the IRS will press pause just to make absolutely sure that you are you. And they're not pointing a finger at you, they're trying to stop a thief from stealing your money. Okay, now for a dose of reality. If your return does get pulled for verification, the IRS says it can take up to 9 weeks to process your refund after you've confirmed you're you. I know, that's a long time, but just knowing that timeline can stop you from anxiously checking the app every single day. All right, this one is massive. It affects literally millions of taxpayers. If you claimed the Earned Income Tax Credit, the EITC, or the Additional Child Tax Credit, there's a federal law called the PATH Act that legally requires the IRS to hold your entire refund until mid-February. This is not an error on your part, it's a delay mandated by Congress itself. And this slide right here shows a really critical distinction. On one side, you've got these legally mandated holds. That's all about timing, it's set in stone by a law. The IRS has no choice. Then on the other side, you have a procedural review, like that 9-week ID verification. That's about the system doing its internal checks for safety and accuracy. See the difference? One is a calendar date they have to follow, the other is just a processing delay. Let's bust another huge myth. Sometimes a return gets bumped out of the automated system. Maybe a number from your W-2 was typed in wrong or something just doesn't quite match up. So a real human being has to take a look at it. This is called a manual review. Let me be crystal clear. A manual review is not a secret code for an audit. It's just quality control. And finally, here's a more modern reason for a delay. The Taxpayer Advocate Service has pointed out that the IRS is being extra careful now if you change your bank account information. The system might just pause things for a second to make sure a hacker isn't trying to reroute your refund to their own account. Again, this is about protecting you, not punishing you. So with all that stuff potentially happening in the background, what's the magic that finally makes that status change? Let's quickly look at how you get from that awful processing message to finally seeing a refund date. This is key. A date will only pop up once your return has passed all the checks and is officially approved for payment. That's the final green light. So your return can be accepted and processing for weeks, and then one day, boom, it switches to approved and you get a date. That's the moment you're waiting for. And that brings us right back to our mantra. Now that you see all the security checks and the legal holds, it makes sense, right? You're not in trouble. You are simply in a holding pattern. Okay, so knowledge is power, but let's get practical. What should you actually be doing while you're stuck in limbo? Let's build a super simple, stress-free action plan. First, let's talk about what not to do.
For the sake of your own sanity, please stop refreshing the app all day long. It only updates once a day, usually overnight. Stop assuming the worst. Don't fall for those IRS hacks you see on social media. And most importantly, do not compare your refund status to your friends. Their tax situation is completely different from yours.
So here's your new plan. It's easy. First, think about those 5 reasons and see which one most likely fits your situation. Second, just check your status once a day. That's it. Third, you're just looking for that magic word, approved. And last, if you get a letter from the IRS in the mail, don't freak out. Just calmly open it and read it. It'll tell you exactly what's going on. And look, I get it. If your stomach ties itself in knots every time you think about your refund, you're not being dramatic. That feeling is 100% normal. Mixing your own money with total uncertainty, yeah, that's one of the most stressful combinations on the planet.
So let's end where we started, with the one thing I want you to remember through all of this. This message is a holding pattern. It is not a verdict. You haven't been singled out, you're not in trouble, you are just in a line waiting for a really complex system to do its job. And while waiting stinks, knowing why you're waiting makes it a whole lot easier to handle. You're just waiting. And for now, that's okay.